Hi there, my name is Lo. Welcome to my channel where I discuss everything between Hermes and grocery bags. This morning I was tagged in a video by the lovely Danny from This is Danny O to discuss FOMO purchases. So thanks so much for that, Danny. But it actually also made me realize that she had tagged me quite some time ago in another video, which was about your favorite pre-loved bags. And I put that video off for a little bit because I don't actually have so many pre-loved bags. What you see here in the shot, these are my pre-loved bags. But whenever I feel I cannot really participate in a tag in the normal way, I will always find a way to go about it and still give my thoughts and my opinion on the subject matter. So today I did want to show you the pre-loved bags that I have, but I'm also going to give you 3 reasons why buying pre-loved is more of the exception for me rather than the rule. And that's really not to say that I have anything against buying pre-loved. Quite the opposite. I would say if you have any tips or suggestions for me for buying pre-loved, especially if you are in the European Union, definitely drop them down below in the comments, because I do feel that I might be making a bit of a bigger thing out of it than it really is to buy pre-loved. Let's just dive into it, and I'm going to show you my pre-loved bags first. So there's only 2 of them. When I got them, they were still pretty much in brand new condition, and I haven't used them all that much because I don't really use any of my bags very frequently. I love to rotate in and out of them, so I would say that they are still in pretty new condition. So the first pre-loved bag that I got is this YSL envelope clutch. I think I got this in, I would say, May 2022. I think I was abroad at a conference and I saw this come by, and I was actually already thinking about buying this new because I had bought the Cassandra clutch, which is lovely, but I actually also really liked the quilted pattern that you have on this clutch and the little strap of leather going over it here. And then this came up on the next closet in new condition. It was a good chunk of the recommended retail price, and I pretty much immediately jumped on it. It came with a box, it came with a receipt, so I just felt like I could make some really good savings on this clutch by just getting it pre-loved instead of new when it came available. The second bag that I got pre-loved is this Loewe Puzzle Nano. This was not a bag that I was considering getting new, not even on sale, because Loewe bags at the time, they didn't really have much more than 50% off, and for 50% off I would still find it quite a bit of money to spend on a bag that is absolutely tiny. I mean, it will fit my phone because I have a Samsung Galaxy Flip and it can fit keys and some cards, but that is just about it. I was just so much in love with the Loewe Puzzle that ideally, I would have liked to have them in all sizes, but at their price point, that was not really feasible for me. So when this came up, also brand new, I think it was 70% off recommended retail. Unfortunately, this didn't come with the original dust bag or with a receipt, but I did feel confident when buying it because it had been authenticated by the website selling it. And I was also buying it from them and not from an individual seller. So that is it in terms of the bags that I have acquired pre-loved. So why is this it and why haven't I really bought more? Well, it comes down to 3 reasons, as I already said in the beginning. Reason 1 is really demand and supply. And I've touched on this before, but I struggle to find reliable places where I can buy good quality pre-loved pieces for a reasonable price. The consignment market in the Netherlands is overall not great. They do have some places, but they mostly then resell items from Chanel and LV, not even Hermes, perhaps a bit of Gucci, but those are generally not the brands that I'm looking out for. And quite often, even these items are in pretty banged up condition and they still won't have a massive amount of money for them. Also, online, the supply is rather limited. I got both of these items in the Netherlands from a place called The Next Closet, but quite often I also find the prices that people are asking on there pretty steep, and frankly I would mostly be buying pre-loved to get a good deal. Obviously it's also good for the environment to move things along, but I have to say that if I can choose to buy an item for the same price, new or pre-loved, I will definitely go for new, because then you also have more of a guarantee on the item. For example, if something is wrong with it, there's pretty much full retail price, and then there's the sale price for which I will usually buy the items, and then the pre-loved item price is generally not all that much below that. And I can understand from the perspective of the seller that if they are giving 50% off recommended retail, that is still a lot to them. And if indeed I cannot buy those items with 50% of the retail price, it would be reasonable, but quite often I do see items being sold while I know that I can pretty much pay the same price if I'm just waiting for a good discount. Then secondly, another thing I do worry about a little bit is authenticity of items. You really see bags being replicated of all different sorts of brands nowadays, even to the point where I see replicas of Polen bags, for example. So on Vinted, which is a reselling platform I think you find mostly in Europe, but perhaps also in other regions, there's quite a lot of Polen bags being offered with labels and tags on it, and they're brand new and everything, and they actually do have a reasonable price. But knowing how much fake stuff is out there in the market, that personally makes me a bit scared to buy any of these items. If I were to buy something like that, I'd rather get it off somebody who I already know and who I trust to have bought a authentic bag in the first place. Also, with some items, I think especially when it pertains to Hermes or Chanel, it is more doable to get a reasonable authentication. But if I'm going to buy, for example, a fake Polen bag online, is there really any sort of authority that can do an authenticity check on that? And if they deem it inauthentic, then what am I going to do? So for like 100 or 200 euros, you might say, well, you can take a chance. But if I cannot be sure it's not authentic, it's something I'd rather not support. And also it would make it difficult for me to pass on the bag because, again, I am not sure whether I'm selling something authentic to some other person. And I have been on the lookout for a Fendi Peekaboo, preferably in a mini size. I think if I get really invested in the authenticity details of a bag like that, plus get an authentication of something that's a fairly standard model, I suppose, that should be okay. But with a lot of other bags, I just feel like I don't know enough to take that hurdle comfortably, so to say. And then my third reason for not buying Preloved all that often is that it's pretty much final sale. So I do buy most of my items online, sometimes after having seen them in a store physically. But an advantage of buying items online is that if in any case it's not up to what you had expected, it's pretty easy to return an item. While with Preloved items, at least over here, that's usually something that you cannot do. And I've seen videos from Lumi Level Up. Let me see if I can find one and drop it down below. She's had issues, I think, with Versitaire Collective with regards to items that were not of the standard as they were demonstrated in the pictures. And yes, I can buy things on my credit card and I can make a case out of it and I can be in touch with customer support of these places. There's not a massive financial risk, especially if the amount of money you're spending is not that much. But I've said it before and I'll say it again, buying handbags, be it contemporary or luxury, it's something that should be fun and enjoyable for me. And if it's not fun and enjoyable for whatever reason, I just want to stay away from it. It's pretty much the last thing in my life that I need to do. It's something that I want to do, but only if it's fun. And those of you who follow me, and thanks for that, by the way, you may recall that I've been having some issues with Aspen of London regarding an order that UPS wanted to charge me duties for, while Aspinall should have taken those duties upon them. Well, it's almost 2 months after my purchase and I'm still dealing with UPS, who keeps sending me invoices for paying duties on a bag that has now already actually made its way back to Aspinall. And I already mentioned that I would probably not buy with Aspinall again unless it's like a bag that I absolutely love and it's for a great deal, which in my mind right now is only one bag, namely the Mayfair in the regular size in the red ombre. And I might still do that, but now pretty much for any other bag, I just cannot be bothered. I don't want to go through this 2-month routine again with Aspinall and UPS to figure out some issue with duties. It just annoys me, and it doesn't really annoy me all that much, but just the fact that it annoys me a little is already reason enough for me not to do it, because this should be fun. if it's not fun, we shouldn't be doing it. So apologies for that little side note, but it does come back to the fact that when you are buying Preloved, you never really know exactly what you are buying unless you're buying in a boutique, but that's pretty difficult in the Netherlands, as I have explained before. So I would have to buy off the internet, and then if a bag is not up to my standard, then I would have to resell it again, but it was probably not as good as advertised, so I'll make a financial loss. Or if I don't like it for any other reason, I could probably still resell it, but even then with the cost that you usually have to pay for sort of online consigning one of your items. Odds are that you are still making a loss. And I generally don't stumble on so many good deals online that I think it's worth to take a chance. So that briefly is my Preloved bag collection. These are also definitely my favorite Preloved bag, with the envelope clutch being my favorite out of the two, because this piece is just way more versatile than the Loewe puzzle. Despite all of this, I do want to see if some of these hurdles that I've mentioned are just a lot bigger in my head than they are to some other viewers. If you are in the European Union, what do you think are good places to buy Preloved items? More in a general sense, how do you get comfortable around authenticity of items, especially items that are less easy to check? And what do you do when an item that you've bought is not up to your standards? Or do you have some tips for me? What should I be looking for in pictures, perhaps? Please give me some tips down below, because I know I am an overthinker. I know I have a very low threshold for annoyance when it comes to handbags, but I see so many people, I would say mostly in the United States, buy wonderful deals when it comes to Preloved markets. Very unique bags that I would also love to have in my collection. So I would love it if you can give me an opportunity to learn from you, and perhaps I can get a bit of a different perspective on things. But these are my 2 cents on the subject matter for now. Danny, thanks again for tagging me. Sorry for doing this tag so late. I'll try to get to the other one a bit sooner. Per usual, my YouTube friends will be linked down below in case they also want to participate in this tag. I don't know the original creator of the tag from the top of my head, but they will also be linked down below if I can find them. And that's it for now. Remember, there's a styling situation and a taste for everything, so don't judge, wear whatever the bag you like. Until next time, or as we'd say in Dutch, doei!